right, I'm going to level with you. I have no idea how the hell to talk about this story in any way. I'm going to try because it's absolutely wild and insane, but I'm also going to tack about 40 trigger warnings in here right now. If you are watching this video on like a TV in the house with speakers that people can hear, perhaps smaller children or something, you're probably going to want to turn that off. I know I curse sometimes, but shit's about to get freaky. And trigger warning for sexual assault, emotional abuse, all that sort of stuff. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know what to make of this at all based on the publicly available information, other than the fact that this story is wild. Now, I'm not here to kink shame. I'm not. I might, maybe it looks like I am, but I'm not here to kink. You can do whatever the hell you want to do when the door is closed. But very important part of that entire process is that when that door is closed and you're doing whatever the hell you want, both people are kind of in agreement, or maybe more than two people. I don't freaking know what these people are doing, right? They're in agreement about what should be happening behind that door. And that is the crux of this situation that is now playing out very publicly for a player that at one point was considered a prime Barclaysman and remembered quite fondly, a guy named Dimitri Payet. All right, Dimitri Payet is a former French international, one of the greatest free kick takers of the modern era, at least in a brief, small time. And he's from Reunion. He was always an interesting player to me. He had a different play style, right? Somebody that I maybe paid a little extra attention to because I found him so interesting, right? He spent 6 years of the last 8 at Marseille because, of course, Marseille just collects weird, like, troubled and borderline criminal dudes like Infinity Stones, right? He scored 46 goals in 187 appearances at Marseille, but in 2023 he moved to Brazil, kind of starting to wind down his career. He's 38 years old now. He moved to Brazil at the age of 36. He plays for Vasco da Gama, 36 years old. I can't remember how old he was when he moved, but he's been playing regularly for Vasco da Gama, and that's, I can imagine a good way to play out the rest of your career. And then these sorts of headlines started to pop up a lot. Former West Ham midfielder Dimitri Payet accused of physical, moral, and psychological and sexual violence, which, I mean, we're checking like 4 different boxes. I don't know if I've ever heard of moral violence, but I guess I kind of get it. Like we're going after the everything. This is the everything. And when you read this, right, when you read a headline like this, that it's going to be weird. Your spidey senses should be going off that it's weird. This isn't your run-of-the-mill sexual assault, rape, and he's an awful guy. This is something weird was going on. And when I say weird, I just mean something that perhaps is not normally publicly discussed and behavior that the Pope might have found reprehensible, should he still be alive, right? Now, the accuser is a woman named Larissa Natalia Ferrari. And she has been very public with these accusations very early on, which is, you're right, as somebody that, has been subjected to abuse of any kind, you get to decide how you best want to handle that. So I'm not going to, judge her for that, or the fact that she wanted to talk to Brazilian outlet Globo. And thank you to The Athletic for this article, Colin Miller, that we're reading from right here. She put together a police report that said she had been assaulted by Dimitri Payet, which left marks on her body, which is obviously something that immediately gets your attention as like, wait, is Payet a super shitty dude, right? A statement from Rio's civil police said the complaint was registered at a police station specializing in assistance for women. The investigation is ongoing. And as far as I can tell, that is basically all of the like legal stuff that is out there right now, right? Dimitri Payet has not been arrested. He has not been like appearing in court, right? This is something where the charges have been made and they're just kind of collecting evidence at this particular point. And Dimitri Payet has responded to this, which is what made this even more bizarre by normal standards, right? By expected standards, I would say. Now, her allegations are incredibly troubling. Like when you read this first, it is very, 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 very disturbing. This is where we're going to get into disturbing in just a weird way, right? Like just very, very bizarre. Like he started using psychological pressure on her and her friend after Her friend published a photo of them at the match without crediting him. From that day on, this is quoted, he started to talk about punishment because I had disappointed him. I started to feel emotionally violated because he'd already started to put pressure on me. He would hit me during sex. He was stepping on my face and on my body. I was afraid to say anything as I knew it was a punishment for my mistake. And if I didn't accept the punishment, I could lose him. So I ended up accepting it. I mean, that obviously is just kind of like, it's clear reading this. I feel like I have now thrown myself into the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp sort of realm where I'm just like, we're kind of into a twisted world here. Now, you should never be putting hands on anybody, man, woman, otherwise, right, that doesn't want hands on them, right? That is the line, right? That's the line that should be maintained in healthy society. That is clearly, should all that be true, a blatant violation of that, right? But this sounds like a pretty demented, nearly 50 Shades of Grey type of a situation. It gets worse. He asked for proof of love that consisted of humiliations. I recorded videos in which I drank my urine. I drank water from the toilet bowl, and I licked the floor. I have nothing to add to that. Emotionally blackmailing her to gain sexual advantage. And these are all, that I believe that's pulled from the police report. And she said that she's undergoing treatment with psychologists, taking prescription medication to treat herself for the trauma. So obviously you read that and you go, Dimitri Payet is some weird type of sexual puppet master, basically. Like, he is this kind of demented, warped worldview, just torturing this poor woman, right? And it is still entirely possible that is true. But what is maybe the most wild thing about this is Dimitri Payet has come out and responded. And he confirmed a lot of this, but basically says it was consensual. Dimitri Payet has confirmed his sadomasochism relationship with Larissa Ferrari, but has denied any aggression towards her. He has admitted they met on social media, acknowledged his fetishism, and having had a sexual relation with the complainant dressed as a bride. Which one of you was dressed as a bride, and how is that relevant? Whatever. According to the player, she asked him to urinate on him several times. Still not quite clear who's urinating on who in that situation, either way. In January 2025, Larissa Ferrari sent him a video in which she spontaneously drank her own urine and put her head in a toilet seat. So what we can confirm here, somebody was drinking pee, because they've both said it. Now, the part and parcel of this is, was it a consensual consumption of urine? Or was it a non-consensual consumption of urine? And to be perfectly honest, if it's a digital communication, right, then you understand? Like, you get it. According to Payet, the practice of drinking urine was common in their relationship. I didn't need to know any of this. I really didn't. My eyeballs were fine before I needed to dump bleach on them after reading all of this. In response to the accusations of aggression, Payet nevertheless says the lawyer asked her to slap her buttocks, which left traces. So he's now attempting to explain the physical traces of, the traces of physicality that she was talking about. He therefore firmly rejects these accusations against him, and he repeats that their relationship was consensual. Now, sorry, I just needed a moment. I was assessing why my life has led me to a point where I am even discussing this with you. Okay. Now, this is a situation that I don't know who's in the right. Anybody that pretends that they know probably needs even more bleach, because then you probably witnessed what was actually happening in this situation. Right. And in my case, in my view, it's like you can have a situation like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard where you come out of it and you go, wow, both of them kind of suck. And not kind of, right? Like there's a lot of stuff. But I think The reason that I'm reading about this, the reason we need to know is Dimitri Payet has been a relevant public figure for a long time. He played for the French national team. He's somebody that is celebrated for his footballing ability. And anytime this sort of stuff comes out, it is not a surprise that certain human beings can be incredibly shitty people, right? And that is why we have the justice system in whatever country you're in, and prison and whatever. Right? But when somebody that we are emotionally invested in as a footballer or any other type of public person, I guess me included, right? You would like to know that they're not a particularly shitty person. And when this initially came out, it looked like Dimitri Payet might be a particularly shitty person. And now what we have is one of two situations. Dimitri Payet is I've obviously never seen 50 Shades of Grey, but based off the vibe that I think that the movie has, he's some sort of demented 50 Shades of Grey type person that is basically into like puppeteering women to do all sorts of weird fetishistic stuff. Or this woman is attempting to exploit in some way his fetishes. And, let's say Dimitri Payet isn't the bad guy in this situation. He is now being forced to discuss all of this very publicly, which, I don't know, maybe he's the type of guy that enjoys doing that. But I know that if I was into drinking urine, I probably wouldn't want to be discussing that with the world and having people like me talk about it with people like you. Right? Which means this situation, no matter where it ends up, and no matter whether Dimitri Payet ends up in prison or this girl ends up getting sued for trying to extort him, or anywhere in between, this situation sucks and is uncomfortable and is weird. And again, if this is what you want to do, as long as it's consensual, freaking do it. But this is definitely, and I'm somebody that followed the Mauro Icardi stuff intensely. This is definitively the weirdest footballing story I've ever discussed on this channel. It is. It's the weirdest footballing story I have ever discussed on this channel. Right? And I hope, my sincere hope, is that there is an obvious trail of evidence that the authorities in Brazil can follow to get to the bottom of this so that the justice that needs to be done is done. That is hopefully what is able to happen. And in the meantime, I'm going to go bleach my eyes, my ears, my brain.